Welcome back. In this lecture, I plan to start a new module which is about other chain polymerization methods, but I had to take about first 10 minutes to complete the remainder of the last module, which is about radical chain polymerization. I was talking about wrapped polymerization in the last lecture. In this lecture, as I said, this is a reversible transfer by which we actually can achieve the radical polymerization in a controlled fashion. So, in this case the original the radicals are generated in a conventional initiator fashions like peroxides and AIBN, and we in presence of a chain transfer agent. Now, typically the concentration or number of this chain transfer agent is much higher compared to the initiator molecule. So, as soon as these initiator molecules are generated, it will react with this wrapped agent and form a dormant species, and which can actually further fragment to produce this A dot, which is can further basically react with the monomers and take part in polymerization reaction. So, the fundamental difference between this wrapped polymerization and say NMP and ATRP is that the radicals which this is not the original radical, but this is the radicals generated because of the transfer process. Now, in this case this radical is not stable radical, not unreactive radical like the other two example. This can take part polymerization. So, this can actually react with monomers and propagate the polymer chain, and also it can take part in a and do this reaction with the chain transfer agent or wrapped agent in a reversible way. So, we explained how this name came, the radical addition fragmentation transfer, because it consists of addition, fragmentation, and in this way chain original radical is getting transferred and producing a new radical. So, if we at any point of time after the initial time when all this wrapped agent are consumed, we have a polymeric propagating radical, and when it reacts with a wrapped agent form this dormant intermediate radical which fragments and produced a new radical, which again can react with monomers to produce again basically take part in reaction and produce a propagating step, and this continues and we can basically generate longer and longer polymer chain. Now, because the number of wrapped reagents originally was added much more than the initiator molecules. So, the number of radicals which produced they are from the original number of radicals which are produced they are from the initial radical species, but the number of chains which are getting produced in this case they are mainly dominated by the number of wrapped agent present in this medium. So, initially addition fragmentation chain transfer to wrapped agent dominates, but as the wrapped agent is consumed the concentration of polymeric wrapped species grows, and later this basically the polymeric wrapped agent species which contributes and eventually become the only the dithiester species present in the medium. So, the degree of polymerization in this case is given by same the fractional monomer conversion, in this case C, and C prime is fractional wrapped agent conversion, and C double prime is the fractional initiator conversion. So, if all the monomers are consumed reacted, then C is 1, if all the raft agents are consumed, which is the case. Most of the raft agents are anyway consumed within first few percentage of monomer conversion. So, C prime is almost every cases is 1, and this A is the fraction of polymer chains which are basically produced by coupling reaction. Now, just look at this expression. In this case, this is the denominator is giving the number of polymer chains which are produced. Now, this is the number of polymer chains which have the raft agent at one end. Basically, those are the leaving chains. So, you can use these chains containing the raft agent at the end for making further reaction for the, like making block copolymer and so on. But there will be inherently some bimolecular reaction between the propagating radical which will generate dead chains like a conventional radical polymerization, and obviously the chain length which will be depend on the type of coupling reaction or combination, the termination is by coupling and combination or by disproportional reaction, and A is the fraction of dead chains which are produced by coupling or combination reaction. So, and as you said, the raft agents are consumed in the within the first few percentage of monomer conversion. So, P prime is 1, and because we are using the initial raft percentage concentration is higher, then this term is much higher than this term. So, basically this is higher than this. So, this is much higher than the second term. So, we can actually get this, this is how we can basically get the degree of polymerization. So, if we consumed all the monomers, then it will be just initial monomer concentration by the initial raft agent concentration. Now, in this case, unlike NMP or SFRP or ATRP processes where the effective radical concentration during polymerization was much low. So, actually the reaction rate is also low, but in this case the effective radical concentration is same throughout the process, which is given by the original concentration of radicals which is produced from the initiator molecules. But because the radicals are more effective or more reactive towards the chain transfer agents which are the raft agent in this case, they are basically not participating, or the likelihood that a propagating radical will participate in a bimolecular radical termination reaction is much lower compared to the possibility of this propagating radical reacting with a chain transfer agent and transferring the chain, and as a result we basically suppress the inherent termination reaction in this way, and as a result rate does not change too much compared to a radical conventional radical polymerization process. And at the end we can use this to produce block graft star copolymer like as example is shown as ATRP. Now, what we will do now, just quickly go through, this is just informative purpose. In next 3-4 minutes I will quickly run through few examples of polymers which are synthesized using radical chain polymerization. It is not necessary you to remember this data, but this is just for completion of this module. So, basically the one of the example is polyethylene, especially the low molecular weight low density polyethylenes are produced by this radical chain transfer process, and these are branched, little bit of branched polymers. So, crystallinity is low and TG data is given by this process. Polyethylene, as you saw, the property of this polyethylene is this good combination of strength, flexibility, impact resistance and melt flow behavior, and mostly used as a film like packaging, household use bags, pouches, wraps, food clothes, and these are the some of the trade names by which it is sold in the market. Another polymer which is using this or synthesized using this radical chain polymerization is polystyrene, and generally by a continuous process and some cases by suspension processes to produce the beads, and if we do is present of cross linker, then we can generate cross linked polystyrene beads, and some data regarding this polymer is given here. And this is rigid plastic material, completely amorphous. It has good strength and dimensional stability and good resistance to aqueous base and acids. It is poor because of the aromatic groups, it has poor weatherability, and it is also not good resistant to hydrocarbon solvent. And these are some use for polystyrene as is shown here. As I also told that you do not need to remember all this information, this is just for to basically go through this, and if required you can basically know how or in which application polystyrene polymers are used, and some of the trade name by which polystyrene is sold are given here. Other polymers like polyvinyl chloride and some property of the polymer and the applications are also shown here. Especially these black pipes for foam, they are made up of polyvinyl chloride, and they are also used for flooring and packaging and all these things. And these are some of the trade names by which polyvinyl chlorides are sold. The other members in the vinyl family like polyacryl methacrylate and other families are also there. One of the important polymer is polymethyl methacrylate, and some of the properties are given here, and they are used for safety glasses, indoor outdoor lighting applications, because this is a very low RI. So, transparency is much higher. As a result, polymethyl methacrylate are used for optical application where transparency or clarity is needed. Some of the common trade names are like plexiglass, lucite and so on. The other members are also given here. Some of them are like acrylamide, acrylonitrile, they are also have some specific application. Now, also one just last thing that we can use this radical polymerization to make cross-linked polymers, like if we have a one monomer like this, and if we have another monomer Y like this, then if we mix this together and polymerize, this is probably at a lower mole percentage, then we can get a polymer with X and sometime with Y, and so basically we can make cross-linked or network polymer by just adding one multifunctional polymer, like in this case we are taking two double bonds. So, basically they can cross-link between two resulting polymer chain and make network polymer or gel, and some of the examples of this type of cross-linker is given here. This is very common, divinyl benzene, which are used for cross-linking styrene polystyrene molecules. So, basically when you cross-link, you should basically try to match the functionality, like divinyl benzene can be used to cross-link polystyrene, or say acrylamide, this bisacrylamide can be used to polymerize a cross-link acrylamide polymers or polyacrylamide. This acrylate methacrylate group can be used to polymer or cross-link methyl methacrylate type polymers. So, this is just for your understanding that we can use this multifunctional with the or the monomers with 2 monomer group or 3 monomer 3 double bond or 2 double bonds, which can actually cross link between linear polymer chain and form network polymer. Now, what we will do, we will move to new topic, we will basically change the module where we will talk about other methods of polymerization, and as these methods are not that important commercially because they are not used as frequently as step growth polymerization and say radical chain polymerization. I will spend very small amount of time for these other polymerization techniques. For example, we will talk about ionic chain polymerization, and as the name suggests, in this case instead of a radical which was used to initiate the radical chain polymerization, we have a ionic species which basically initiate the polymer chain, for example a cation or an anion. So, it could be a cation or an anion, and this Ci means counterion. Unlike in case of radical, in case of ionic polymerization, we have always a counterion associated with the active chain end or active part of the polymer. So, we can use a ion as such like a cation or an anion, or we can use a electron transfer process to generate a radical ion, and from there we can actually get a biradical which can this is not biradical, this should be instead of radical we will have a cation here, and this case. So, basically bi-anion or bication. So, we have MM plus plus and MM minus minus. So, what is the fundamental difference of this type of ionic polymerization with the radical polymerization? In case of radical, we have seen that there are inherent bimolecular termination step by reaction between two propagating radicals, but this inherent termination is not possible for a ionic polymerization because two cation or two anion cannot interact with themselves. We can, like a living or RDRP polymerization, we can actually pre-decide the molecular weight in ionic polymerization, and again because the chain end will be anion or cation, we can actually functionalize the end of the polymer chain. So, there in this polymerization there is a scope of generating functional group at the end of polymerization, and the reactions are fast. Some features, general characteristics of ionic polymerization, these are much more selective. Unlike radical polymerization, the number of monomers which we can polymerize using ionic polymerization is less, because as we discussed earlier that to propagate a chain we need to stabilize the resulting active site. So, if you have a cation, this Y must be a electron donating group to stabilize this cation, or if we have an anion, then this Y should be a electron withdrawing group either by inductive effect or by resonance effect, so that we can stabilize this active ion so that the polymerization can proceed. And we discussed earlier also the monomers which have basically electron withdrawing group either by inductive effect or by resonant effect, like in these cases we can have anionic polymerization. For example, if Y is the COR, then this anion can get stabilized by resonance. So, basically then this is possible, and if this is a cation, then Y must be something which basically electron donating to stabilize this, and which is happens if I have say OR type substitution, Y is OR, then it can donate the lone pair on oxygen and stabilize this molecule. So, in this case, as we discussed earlier also, if the Y having this type of substitution, we can have anionic polymerization possible, and if we have OR type substitution, then cationic type polymerization possible. And if you have substitution like phenyl or another conjugation, then because of resonance, this type of monomer can basically participate in both anionic polymerization and cationic polymerization. So, basically we know that is much more selective. So, the number of monomers we can participate in ionic polymerization is less compared to the number of monomers which can participate in radical polymerization. There is another very important feature is the effect of polarity of the solvent. Now, in this case, because the propagating chain end is an anion. So, if I have a long polymer chain, at the end we have a either an anion or a cation, there is a counter ion associated with that. So, the polarity of the medium actually affect the reactivity of this chain end, which is a ionic species. For example, this combination of the ion and its counter ion could be present in 4 such ways. One, they can actually combine with each other, form a covalent bond. In that case, obviously there is no ionic species present, and the species is not reactive at all for carrying out further polymerization. Extreme end, if we have a highly polar solvent, then these two will be separated and they will form a free ion pair, and in this case the reactivity of the chain end will be much higher, because the electrophilicity or nucleophilicity, depending upon we are talking about a cation or an anion, will be much higher, because the charges, the available charges are much free, much more in this case. So, reactivity for polymerization will be much higher in case of highly polar solvent. There are two intermediate state where we have, so basically this is where my polarity increases, polarity of the solvent, polarity of solvent increases. So, we can have tight ion pair and we can have solvated ion pair or solvent separated ion pair. Now, as we understand, this cannot carry out any initiation reaction, or it cannot carry out any further polymerization, where the reactivity of this is too fast, and that actually gives lot of complication. It can do lot of side reaction because of the highly reactive ionic species. So, these two extremes are not recommended. So, generally ionic polymerization are not done on highly polar solvent or a very low polarity solvent. These are done either in a low to moderate polarity solvent. So, they so that the ions, the ionic chain ends are present either as a tied ion pair or a solvated ion pair. So, these two are the preferred state of this ionic pair, which are recommended for carrying out ionic polymerization, and that happens for a if we do the polymerization in low to moderate polarity solvent. So, basically low to moderate polarity solvent like THF ether or a mixed solvent like toluene THF, they are used for ionic polymerization. Nature of the reaction are, as we discussed, because this is an ionic reaction, they are very fast, they are actually 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 6 times faster than radical chain polymerization, because ionic species are much more reactive than radicals. And as we discussed, the bimolecular termination reaction between the propagating species, as in the case of radical chain polymerization, they are absent in this case, because two anion or two cation cannot interact with each other and do further reaction. And because these ionic species are very reactive, they are very much susceptible to impurities like oxygen, carbon dioxide, water or any hydroxylated solvents are present in the medium. And there is a large effect of co-catalyst, we will discuss briefly in this case, and the polymerization is quite complex. So, kinetic data are often not reproducible. So, basically it is very difficult to generate a reproducible kinetic data for this ionic reaction, especially for cationic polymerization. If you compare between radical cation and anionic polymerization, anionic or ionic polymerizations are very susceptible to these impurities than radical polymerization, because higher reactivity of the ionic groups. For example, if I have an anion and there is a small amount of water present in medium, it can actually stop this or quench this anion and generate a hydroxide anion which are not reactive enough to proceed and basically react further and make a polymerization. So, reaction will basically stop here, as if there are small amount of water is present in the medium, it will basically kill this, it will basically kill this propagating anion. Ionic polymerization is very sensitive to solvent polarity, as we discussed, and it is preferable to do a polymerization in low to moderate polarity. And ionic polymerization can be carried out or may be carried out in ambient to lower temperature to avoid those side reactions. And as we said, radical scavengers, basically those which are radical scavengers, they do not inhibit ionic polymerization, they actually inhibit radical polymerization, this is obvious. Ionic polymerization can be easily employed to make copolymer, as we can have a living chain ends which are ionic group. From a practical aspect, it is very difficult to carry out ionic polymerization, because this is very susceptible to the impurities present. So, basically we have to have all the reagents extremely pure, otherwise there will be impurities and which will basically kill the resulting ionic species. And the glassware should be cleaned rigorously, and generally high vacuum techniques are used for this ionic polymerization. And when you create inner atmosphere to remove oxygen and carbon dioxide or water from the medium, we generally use nitrogen and argon during reaction. So, in this case the nitrogen and argon which are used to generate the inert atmosphere, they must be very pure enough, so that there is no impurity present in those gases as well. As a result, commercial applications of this especially anionic chain polymerization are limited to making specialty copolymers and basically molecular standard, which are basically the polymer molecules which have very narrow polydispersity. So, we will quickly go through the two polymerization mechanism, cationic polymerization, where we basically have a nucleophile electrophile which basically attacks the double bond, and it can form a initiator molecule like this, and these are some of the monomers which can be polymerized using cationic polymerization. And typical initiators which are used are protonic acids like HCl, like H2SO4 or HClO4, H3PO4, etc. But in these cases the molecular weight generates are not very high. This is not a very effective are not high. So, they are not basically effective initiator. So, the other initiator is Lewis acid. So, these are the typical Lewis acid which are used, and in fact if we use just pure this Lewis acid, then also the reaction is very low. For example, if we use BF3 as initiator, then the reaction does not happen. BF3 plus, if we say if we have another monomer and if we have ammo anhydrous, then basically reaction is very slow, does not happen. But if we add a co-catalyst BF3 plus water and this monomer, then we have a very rapid reaction. So, in this case just Lewis acid is not enough to carry out the reaction, we need a co-catalyst diene which are basically act as a protogen, which supplier of proton. Basically it gives so it gives a complex type this, and then this basically initiates the reaction, cationic reaction. The chlorinated solvents are good for cationic polymerization, and hydrocarbon are not good because the reason I explained, that the polarity is so low that the ionic species cannot basically they form very tight ion pair or almost like covalent bond. So, the reactivity is very low. So, solvents like ethers and with some active hydrogen basically which can give hydrogen to the ionic species, they are also not used in this cationic polymerization process. So, this is the example of one cationic polymerization. So, this is the initiator as we expect. So, we can this is the initiation step, and it is like the other radical chain polymerization, we have propagation step. Now, in this case inherently these two propagating cation cannot react with itself and terminate, but there are some chain transfer reaction may happen, chain transfer with the monomer, chain transfer with the counterant or other solvent or some other chain transfer agent in the polymer. They can actually participate in chain transfer process and can quench this cation, and by doing that it can get terminated. So, in this case the difference is that with radical, in case of radical, their two radicals can react with themselves and terminate the chain, but in this case the cations inherently cannot react with themselves to terminate the chain, but because of the possibility of some other chain transfer reactions like to monomer or to counterant, this can actually get terminated, like one of the example are shown here. So, one example of cationic polymer which is used for synthesize important polymer is like butyl rubber. In this case isobutylene is polymerized with 5% of isoprene, and in that case AlCl3 is used as a catalyst at minus 100 degree centigrade, and low temperature actually minimize the chain transfer reaction and produce polymers of predetermined molecular weight. And butyl rubber are elastomers with outstanding weathability characteristic and have lowest air permeability among all known elastomers. In anionic polymerization also have these 3 steps, initiation, propagation and termination. In initiation, basically we have now a nucleophile which initiate the polymer chains, and we can give the other example, we can give say examples of these initiator molecules, like we can have say organometallic compound, or we can have a electron transfer process for initiating a radical. One very common is butyl lithium, which is used to polymerize styrene, isoprene, and this is used for polymerizing methyl methacrylate, and which is another one example we can give, which is a weak nucleophile, which is basically used for cyanoacrylate. So, these are the example about the anionic initiators, and another example of this electron transfer process where we can get radical anion, and when we react with a styrene molecule, it can actually generate a bi-anion. So, we have now two species where we have two sides anionic groups. So, now you can actually propagate a anionic chain from both sides. So, basically we can generate polystyrene this side as well as this side. So, this is example where we have a bi-anion. So, basically these species have two anionic groups. So, we can use this for polymerizing and making polymer chains from both the sides. So, polystyrene one side and polystyrene another side. So, example of anionic polymerization, so synthesis of SBS, styrene butadiene, styrene thermoplastic elastomers. So, in this case we can use butyl lithium in cyclohexane to generate the first block of polystyrene, and it stays living. Then we can add the second monomer, which is a combination of styrene and this monomer, and we can butadiene. So, we can get the second block now, and then we can add the third again styrene to generate third block. So, we now have a first block of polystyrene, then we have a combination or copolymer of styrene and butadiene in the as a middle block, and we have a styrene another as a third block. So, basically we have a tri-block copolymer. There is a very important use of anionic polymerization is that we can make functional polymer. For example, if we this anion, if we react with carbon dioxide followed by acidification, we can generate acid functional polymer chain. We can react with epoxy and followed by hydrolysis in presence of acid, we can basically get wedge functional polymer, and we can react with this type of monomer to make macromonomers. And we can also like we can react with anion with say we can make 4-arm star polymer by using this anionic polymerization. And we can obviously first if we have a block, and then if we add B, then we can get A and then B as we have seen earlier also, that we can easily make block copolymer using these anionic copolymers. So, with this I will come to this lecture ionic polymerization, and next I will move to another type of polymerization reaction in the next lecture.